In the wild, mysterious depths of Brittany, France, sits an old abandoned shack. Surrounded by ancient oaks and home to all manner of forest dwellers, it is here that we meet to share our stories. So pull up a seat, swing that light, grab your favourite beverage as we share another tantalising tale in the freaking shack.
And welcome back to the shack. Here we are again.
We are back.
In separate shacks again.
We are still in separate shacks, yes. At some point I will get over to you. I will. Promise.
Yeah. Well, what we'll have to do is have a day where you come over and we just blitz a load of recording and get it out the way.
Yeah, we'll just binge record and then hopefully we can. But, I kind of like the whole thing of staying current and keeping up with people and responding, because we got a new follower, right? We got a new follower this week.
Yeah, I don't know where
are they from?
I don't know. I know we've got extra people in the USA. We've got extra people in Canada. We've got extra people in Russia. We've got 2 now. 2 people in Russia.
2 people?
Yeah. Or
to be honest, just 2 people in general is quite an achievement for me. Yeah, just 2 people in general listening to us is quite an achievement. I'm quite chuffed. As long as those 2 people actually like what we're doing.
Yeah.
Don't think we're just a couple of crazy people, which, to be fair, they're not wrong. But
no, but they do seem to come back and listen, which is quite nice. But we had the one extra was a follower that came on, and I saw it quickly before we started the recording. So I haven't yet checked as to exactly who it is. I sort of know names of people who follow us, and it's not you and me. We are doing sea creatures, mythical sea creatures. And I've got some notes, and I know you've got some notes.
I have the Book of Doom.
The huge book with little stickers in.
Many
right?
notes.
Well, when I was reading through a load of my notes on this before we did it, one of the things, I'd written some bits about mermaids, and I had written some bits about sirens, and I was a bit confused as to what the difference was. So I had a look at the differences, how they differ significantly in their origins, appearance and behaviours. So that's sort of what we're looking at here. So I've got the mermaids, then the sirens, and then the key differences to both. So I thought that's where we'd start. And then
sounds like a good place to start.
Yeah, at the very beginning. So mermaids, I've got here the origins of mermaid. Look at us going straight into the subject this week. The origins
I know,
of
we've done better this time.
Yeah, that's because we've just been chatting. We chatted on last week's one, and
we've got all of that out of our system.
Yeah.
Everybody is grateful for the batch record. That's all I can say, because obviously they're grateful for that because we get all of the talking done on one episode, and then for the next couple of episodes, they're good. We're getting that all out the way.
I'll give them a little countdown if they want to whiz past all the chatter from last week.
Yeah.
I'll make sure I put something on there, just whiz forward about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
You'll be all
you
right.
can skip all of our junk. Yeah.
Not on this one. Do not whiz forward on this one because you'll miss it all. Mermaids, sea creatures, mythical, legendary sea creatures. So the origins of mermaids appear in global folklore, with stories spanning continents like Europe, Asia, and Africa. They are often depicted as benevolent beings, although some tales portray them as dangerous. The appearance of mermaids, they are half human, half fish creatures, with the upper body of a human and the lower body of a fish. Many people think that it's just women, but actually it's men as well. So it's men and women that are mermaids. Mermen? Mermaids.
Mermen. Yeah. Mermaids, mermen. Yeah.
They are famed for their beauty and enchanting voices. The mermaids are often seen as guardians of the sea, sometimes helping sailors or falling in love with humans. In some legends, they lure sailors to their doom, but this is less common. And I know when I was looking into it, there were lots of sightings of them. Loads of sightings reported of sailors and even people on shore, seeing them offshore. Yeah, go on.
Sorry, I was just holding up a finger because we have a delay and I didn't want to interrupt what you were talking about.
That'll be the way we'll talk to each other.
We'll converse through hand signals. Shut up, Ind. I don't need your interaction. Thank you very much.
This one?
I can manage
Do you know
on my own.
one?
Anyway,
Sign
going back to
language.
merfolk. Yeah, going back to merfolk. Abgal. Do you know of Abgal?
No.
It's down here. So I had a little look into it, and apparently it's a kind of early form of merman. And the Abgal is mentioned in some Sumerian mythology. Sumerian mythology. Indiana, would you pack it in? It's not the indie show. It's not. I know. But it really isn't. He's coming up now. For goodness sake. Hang on a minute. I have to fuss my fluff dog. Hello, my fluffy. Yeah, you're a good boy. But can you not?
Knock
good
things
lad.
over, crash into the
just
table.
walk through. He really likes to be under the desk, and it's a problem when I've got like the microphone stand like this, and I've got wires and everything. And this is the thing, he can't lay where he wants to lay. So tough cookies. Anyway,
Sorry,
he's going downstairs.
Carry on with
now.
the mer people.
Girl. Okay, early form of merman. I did that bit. Sorry. Mentioned in Sumerian mythology. It's one of the number of spirits originally servants of, and here's where I fall over the words, because it's either E or A, but it's the god of wisdom, and it's literally EA. So I don't know if that's an E or an A sound. It could be an E.
Okay.
But I'm not sure. Like the centaurs of Greek mythology who helped civilize humanity, the task of these beings was to teach the arts and science to humanity. They did this during the day whilst fasting, only stopping to eat at night. Early carved reliefs show them men above the waist and fish below. So there you go. So that's the Abgal, and supposed to be the early form of merman.
Oh, fabulous. Well, mine then goes on to sirens. Now, the origins of sirens were that they were exclusively from Greek mythology. So unlike the other one, which was like global folklore, these were initially depicted as half human and half bird creatures. But later, art transformed them into more fish-like beings resembling mermaids, which is where the mix-up comes, because they're supposed to be two different creatures. The appearance in their original form, sirens had the head of a woman and the body of a bird, with wings and talons. But over time, they became associated with mermaid-like features. So it was almost like they were morphed with art into a mermaid type creature. But their behavior, sirens are malevolent seductresses who use their haunting, beautiful songs to lure sailors to their deaths on rocky shores. And they are often associated with danger and destruction. So they were quite often sort of depicted with like ships being smashed onto the rocks and sailors drowning, and they were dragged down by the so-called sirens to their death to the bottoms of the sea.
Wow.
I'm trying to think whether there's a bit in Pirates of the Caribbean where there's some like so-called mermaids singing. And I can't remember whether it is Pirates of the Caribbean, whether it's a different film altogether, and I'm a little bit confused, which happens all the time.
There, I'm trying to think about the film. Sorry, Indy has a bone downstairs, and he's making a hell of a noise with it. He sounds like a bilge pump. So if you can hear a kind of suction noise, it's him downstairs because he has a treat. Anyway, I seem to remember something, but I'm not 100% sure about the sirens. And it's certainly not in the first couple of movies. At least I don't think so. Our listeners can correct us on this.
It might be an old film that I've watched and I've just linked it with the Pirates of the Caribbean. It might not be that at all. But I just remember these little boats, the blokes going out in these little boats with these like women singing to them, and then they suddenly realise that it's not nice singing. It is luring them to a watery grave.
I know what you mean. It's not Pirates of the Caribbean, but I can't think what it is.
No, I'm not sure.
It might come to me.
Can any of our listeners tell us? Because
there you go. Maybe somebody knows. Yeah. Yep.
it's a challenge.
They
there
might
we
be able
go.
to
Let
give us
know.
some insight.
Yeah. But
While we're talking about
go
mermen
on.
and things like that, there is a being or beings, I'm not sure. The strange being appears. It's called Adaro, and it appears in the myths of the Solomon Islands.
Mm-hmm.
No? Yeah, the Solomon Islands, yeah. In the Western Pacific Ocean. He is clearly related to the merman, so I've read. But unlike the familiar sea creatures, the Adaro has legs attached to which are fins. A larger fin, similar to that of a shark, sprouts out of the top of his head. He also has fish gills and a sharp horn where his nose ought to be. The Adaro commands a huge army of flying fish, which savagely rend into pieces anyone foolish enough to invade his waters. The Solomon Islands describe him as flying through the air, carried by his fish army, who riding on the back of a rainbow during storms at sea.
Okay.
So there's an image for you. So I don't know if you've ever heard of Adaro, but sounds like a pretty spectacular sight.
Yeah. Well, the last bit I've got here about the mermaids and the sirens was looking at the key differences between the two. So the mermaids are found in global folklore, while sirens are specific to Greek mythology. The appearance, mermaids are fish-like, while sirens are originally bird-like before evolving into mermaid-like depictions. And then their behaviour...
Which is kind of strange, because usually the evolution would go the other way, from fish to air. Yeah, just strange that it goes the other way.
Yeah. And then their behaviour, mermaids are generally benevolent or neutral, where sirens are always dangerous and deadly. There you go. So
okay.
I have to find some pictures, be putting them on our social medias. Now, the other creature that I have before we go to our final creature, because I've got quite a bit of information about this one, is the Kraken. And you said you didn't have anything on this at all.
I have nothing on the Kraken.
And I couldn't not. If we were doing sea creatures, I couldn't not do the Kraken. And he's classed as a fearsome sea monster, obviously. The Kraken is originating from Norse mythology. The Kraken is a colossal octopus or squid-like creature of immense size and terrifying power. Tales describe it capable of dragging... You making some more noise? Would you like to make any more noise?
Sorry.
All I can hear is pages turning here.
I was looking up Kraken to see. I'll do it quietly. Shh. I'll do it quietly.
Quietly, pages turning. I've lost myself now. Here's a.
It wouldn't be a freaking Shack episode if you didn't lose your place
At some time. Tales describe it as a squid-like creature of immense size, terrifying power, capable of dragging entire ships to the ocean floor with its massive tentacles, creating whirlpools and striking fear into the hearts of sailors navigating the waters between Norway and Iceland. Some believe the legends were inspired by real-life sightings of giant and colossal squids. So its origins... the name Kraken quite likely originates from the Old Norse word, which is crake, which can mean a crooked tree or have a derivative.
Does that mean that it technically... does that mean it should be Kraken, like he says in parts of the Caribbean?
Kraken, yeah.
He said, I've always heard it said Kraken.
It could possibly be then.
Kraken's how it's supposed to be pronounced. Funny.
But it has a derivative meaning of maybe drag or pull as well. This could allude to the creature's many tentacled form or its ability to drag ships down. Early mention of Ireland-sized sea monsters, Ireland size, as in not island, as in just an island.
What was there was a guy who like set up home on an island only to find out then that it was like a whale or something.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the story was, but I'll look it up.
There are a few.
But yeah, it was supposed to be.
I haven't included it today, but there is supposed to be a type of sea creature that's almost like a giant turtle, like a massive turtle, like a mile wide or something. And it sometimes comes to the surface and then looks like an island. But they're also saying that so does the Kraken. So these island-sized sea monsters in Norse folklore were from the 12th century, are sometimes associated with the Kraken, though the description as a cephalopod evolved later on. Early accounts of the descriptions of the size of it and descriptions of it, some of the oldest stories, particularly from Norway, describe the Kraken, more noise, This is the real life reality of trying to research with real books, people. I'm sorry. No internet access. I am researching from a giant book, which I have wrist pain and I can't support the whole book. I'm sorry. I have to put it against the table or on my leg, which I have no desk space right now because everything's in the sodding way. Excuse me.
I'm doing my best. But I'm so sorry. Please carry on.
I would if I knew where I was. I've completely lost myself again. Right. The oldest stories, particularly from Norway, describe the Kraken as being so enormous that it could be mistaken for a floating island. They have floating islands in France. They're a dessert called
I was going to say,
Floating
une flottante is a dessert that we serve at the restaurant. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And I have to say, it looks lovely. Shit and fall back in it. I have a painful eye roll going on right now. Okay, so I'm just going to let you in on what that was. That horrific sound was the sound of my metal magnetic board that I have little notes attached to for what I'm doing this week. It has just decided to launch itself down the back of the unit. Because obviously we're recording, so it's the best time to do it, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
And make a hell of a lot of noise, because it's really helpful for it to do that. Thanks so much. So far, this whole distance recording thing's going great.
At least when we're next...
Well, do you know what? Go on.
I was just going to say, at least when we're together, we can try and keep the noise to a minimum because we shut ourselves away in the shack and shut the door on everything.
Yeah, it does. It does help. It does help when we're not in the shack. It's a little bit more tricky. Anywho, would you like to hear what I've got about islands?
Go.
Because you were saying how they sometimes, the creatures themselves look like islands and people land on them and yada yada. Well, apparently this whole thing of there are many species of, and forgive my pronunciation for this, but it's cetaceans? I'm not sure. Swimming the oceans of the world. Now, they're essentially a very, very large whale. Okay, this is essentially where we're going for. But early sailors, such as the Irish St. Brendan, who some believe to have discovered the Americas on his voyage to the Land of Promise, found himself beached upon an island near Easter Sunday, which is kind of relevant as to when we're recording this.
Yeah.
However, he decided to celebrate Mass thereon, only to discover that the island was none other than, and I have to try and say this, Jasconis? I think it's like Jascunis, potentially. The whale. Anyway, that was his name, the whale. He actually, the whale played an important part in myths and legends. It's a whole big thing about rather large sea creatures posing as islands. I don't know why. Maybe they're just trying to get a bit of sun.
Maybe they were, yeah. Bit of warmth on their backs. Well, that's exactly what I've got here. They are depicted as floating islands, some said to be over 1.5 miles in circumference. How does that work?
And I think this is the thing, because if you stumbled upon, sorry, I just punched my own microphone. If you stumbled upon...
Did it do anything to upset you?
No, nothing specifically. It was in my face. I was just talking with my hands and getting dramatic. Anyway, I'm just thinking when I've been, I'm not a seagoer, right? I'm notorious for being really, really seasick. Right. I'm not anymore. I'm better than I was. You know, I can do the channel now. The mill pond that was the channel as I was going green. Yeah, I can do that now. It's fine. But it's like when you're actually traveling and you're seeing an ocean, right? And everything's like completely flat. You can't see anything. That sort of lump in the sea, if it was that big, how could you think it was anything else but an island? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
I can totally see how people would make that mistake. And like, I mean, all I can say is, was the ground not a little squishy? Because, you know, I feel like blubber, whale blubber, there's going to be a bit of give in that ground. It's not going to feel like ground, you know?
Yeah. But unless it's the turtle shell, like we said, the giant turtle, because that would be like solid.
It would be. But there would be no beach, you know? The ground wouldn't like... It wouldn't like, because you know where you get the beachy bit in between land and sea.
You know what?
There's like an in between.
You know what? Life's a beach.
Life's a beach. It absolutely is a beach.
Got down here that some sailors have been known to land on its back, mistaking it for solid ground. And obviously, then
I kind of get that. If you're coming from a ship. And, you know, and you'll get that. I could see how that would work.
But it says here, over time, the Kraken's description shifted towards a gigantic octopus or squid-like creature with numerous massive tentacles. It was often portrayed as being as tall as a sailing ship's mainmast, capable of wrapping its arms around the vessel and dragging them to the depths. The possible inspiration for this, the legends of the Kraken, are widely believed to have originated from sightings of real giant squids. There's big words now. Shush! Architeuthis ducks, and possibly, there's going to be another one now, colossal squids called Mesoni.
I genuinely think that you should be saying every single one of these words. Like from now till the end of time, everybody has to say them how you say them, because that's just the most entertaining thing in the whole world.
Yeah. It's like the first time looking at it thinking...
genuinely, you don't know if you're right or wrong. I don't know, but it's very funny.
If you cut this down, it's Mesonies. That's one word. There you go. That's one creature.
Okay. If it is not said like that, then it should be.
Yeah. While not as large as the mythical Kraken, these are still enormous cephalopods. That's it.
Cephalopods.
With giants... Cephalopods.
That one I know.
With giant squids reaching lengths of up to 13 metres, which is around 43 feet, which is quite big enough for me. Thank you very much.
That's insane. Yeah, and that's mental. I don't like that. No, thank you.
No, and colossal squids potentially even larger.
Sorry, but my dog's back.
Making them the largest or second largest invertebrates on Earth, except for your dog.
Sorry, bear with him. He's just circling 3 times. Here we go. He's landing. There we go.
And they do the sound that I'm going to have to put that back in, because when they enhance the sound, they'll get rid of his body hitting the deck.
Honestly, he goes down with such a thud, and I worry sometimes. I'm like, surely that can't be comfortable. Like he's like thunk, you know, as he hits the floor. Yeah. But he's quite happy. He's like, you know, that's just how he rolls.
Dear. Right, can I finish this? I can't.
Sorry, go ahead. The dog came back and distracted me.
Right, key features are numerous long, powerful tentacles covered in suckers, sometimes described with teeth-like rings. It's an immense
on the suckers? That's horrible.
Yes.
It's just such a sucker.
Teeth on the suckers. The immense size capable of dwarfing or destroying ships, and the ability to create powerful whirlpools when submerging. So they'd actually go down and actually twist the water and create a whirlpool to suck the ship down.
I read something. Sorry, I'm interrupting. I read something about a whale, a giant whale. I've interrupted the whole time through. Yeah, I'm sorry. I just keep interrupting. But I read something about a whale who was so large that if at any point he managed to touch his nose to his tail, I think it was a whale, then the world would come to an end, essentially, because it was this big event that happened, that he was so big that he couldn't touch his nose to his tail. It would create some kind of vortex.
Yeah, wasn't that? Didn't we talk about this one? The one that could go all the way around the world was big enough to go all the way around the world.
Maybe that's what they meant. Now, I just assumed they meant turning in the water, like, you know. But yeah, maybe if it was all the way around the world, if his nose actually touched his tail, then the world would implode.
There is a picture of that. Apart from being right here, I'm in the dark now. It's very dark. And I can't see anything. But in my book, I've actually got a picture of that. I don't know where my book is now. Hang on. Oh, I've got my book. Now, will I be able to find the picture? Will I? You got to talk now or sing or something while I try and find the picture.
I'm sorry. I was completely unaware that I had to do this.
Yeah, you're not allowed
I can't
to
think
sing
of a
anything.
fish-related song. I think, kind of interesting. Although I did find a little bit about sharks, if that's any help.
That'll do.
It's acquired a modern cult fascination, largely helped by the film, obviously, Jaws, which increased the paranoia, if you like, among swimmers and fishermen and led to many naturalists making studies of shark behaviours. I will say naturists. Very different.
Yeah.
Naturists, naturalists, yeah. Anyway, but they studied the behaviours if only to disprove the reputation that of sharks and great white sharks specifically being the sort of, cold-blooded killers.
Yeah.
But the shark represents the Milky Way and is called the long blue cloud eater. Did you know that? The spirit who can become incarnate and successive.
Can you see that?
Chiefs. Oh,
Look.
hang on. Sorry, you're showing me a picture. I see.
But that's like two creatures together. Yeah. But they're doing the similar thing. There we go. That was all of that. Sorry, what were you saying? Sharks.
I was talking about the shark and the spirit who can become incarnate. I'm reading this out of the book, this section. So the spirit can become incarnate in successive chiefs. I don't know what they mean by that. For just as the chief is to the tribe, oh, okay, I'm with you. So is the shark to the seas. There you go.
All right.
And an ancestral kind of respect is also found on Hawaii, where it is believed that sharks are ancestral spirits, and the spirit allies with, and I'm going to, shamans. It allies with the shamans. But the shamans,
right, okay.
And I'm going to butcher this word completely. I think it's kahunas. But I'm not sure on that.
Kahunas?
The king of the sharks, kahunas. But the king of the sharks in Polynesian mythology is called, and I'm going to butcher this again because I'm not sure how to say this one either, but I can't even begin to say this. I'm not sure. I can't say it. I'll spell it for you and then you can figure it out. It is TUMUITEARETOKA. Sod that is what I'm saying. As a dyslexic, I'm going home.
Brilliant.
I can't say that. What are you talking about? I can't say that. Anywho.
Dear. I think
although sharks get a bad press, it comes to no surprise to hear of one actually acting in the role of rescuer rather than aggressor. Yeah, there is a little brief thing there.
I think this episode is going to have to be mythical creatures and how they butcher the words.
Yeah, I can't say that. Screw you guys, I'm going home.
Okay, going back to the Kraken.
Go back to the Kraken.
Go back to the Kraken after the sharks. Powers and abilities of this creature. Oh no, he had large, fearsome eyes, and some legends mention the ability to
release his eyes.
I don't know. He's got to be able to see somewhere.
I'd be so bothered with the mouth. I mean, how does anyone look at this thing's eyes? It's got teeth in its fingers, like, no.
His legs and his hands.
I'm sorry, I feel like I'm quoting... Sorry, I feel like I'm quoting Ron at this point. I wasn't looking at his head. I wasn't looking at his feet. That bit. I wasn't looking at his feet. I was looking at his heads. Yeah, there you go.
Some legends mention the ability to release dark ink clouds, similar to real squids, which I get. I get that.
You guys made me ink.
Yeah.
Sorry, Finding Nemo reference.
Dear. Yeah, you're good at the Nemo thing.
Yeah, because I'm Dory. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, who are you?
Exactly, yeah.
So, ship sinking strength. The Kraken most famous stability is its immense strength, capable of crushing hulls, capsizing vessels, and dragging them down into the abyss. It is a whirlpool creator, so its sheer size and rapid descent were said to create dangerous whirlpools that could engulf ships. The hunting prowess. Legend suggests that the Kraken was a cunning predator, sometimes lying in wait beneath schools of fish to lure unsuspecting ships. And their terrifying presence, the mere sight of the Kraken rising from the depths, was enough to strike terror into the hearts of even the most seasoned sailors. You're not kidding.
No, I'm sorry. I would absolutely crap my pants. There would be
Yeah.
no messing. Like, I couldn't. You're telling me that this thing, right, creates the whirlpool as it leaves? Like,
Yeah.
are you kidding? Like, the thing is dangerous when it's, like, on you, and it's dangerous when it goes away. Like, no. And that whole thing of it coming up through the water, right? I have discovered that I have a morbid fascination with underwater man-made objects. Now, there is a phobia about man-made objects underwater, right?
Mm-hmm.
I looked a little into this. The trouble is that I get this morbid fascination with it. So as much as it scares me, there's like a fear involved in like seeing propellers and metal grills and things that are under the water. That's scary. It's weird. It's not comfortable in my head, right? I've seen these pictures, but I really like the pictures because they make me feel uncomfortable. Is that weird? Because I say this because there are people that become uncomfortable by these pictures and therefore come to they realize that they have a real phobia about underwater things, right? And I get that. I don't think I have that because I have this morbid fascination with the fact that I quite like that feeling of feeling uncomfortable. Now, don't get me wrong. If you plop me in the water with that damn thing, I think I'd be paddling like a demon, right? I'd be out there like, no, I think I'd learn to fly really quickly.
Isn't that similar to the sort of feeling that people get when they watch like horror films or even talking about the paranormal?
I think it plays a part, yeah.
You know, that it's like children, the nursery rhymes and the stories, Hans Christian Andersen and the stories like that. Some of them were horrific stories, scary stories. But actually,
all I can say is you made me as a child sit through Watership Down as a child. I'm just saying, like, if you want to talk about childhood trauma, right? Oh, it's just a cute film about rabbits. It bloody well isn't.
Yeah, they end up eating each other. And then, of course, there was the 10 o'clock horses that used to terrify you going up to bed.
Yeah, I mean, we are approaching. It is now 10 o'clock. It is now the 10 o'clock horses' time. Yeah, right. And someone needs to start thumping the stairs real quick.
Yeah, and of course, there was all the Halloween stories. If anyone goes back and listens to one of the Halloween episodes and about some of the things that we got up to in the house when the kids were little. Yeah, it's no wonder they have nightmares. Yeah. Oh, dear. Right. Shall I finish this?
We have nightmares. Yep.
I've had two recently, two very nasty ones. One that I actually woke myself up out of because I was that scared of this person who was in the cupboard. And I knew someone was in the cupboard and I had the door open of the cupboard because I knew there was something in there. And I went out. I had a child in bed and I was looking after this child and I was terrified that whatever it was in the cupboard was coming after the child. And I had to go out and collect something to bring it back in for the child. I don't know whose child it was. No idea. But as I came
wasn't mine, that's for damn sure.
As I came back into the room, I noticed that the cupboard door had closed. And I went to open the door again. And as I went to open the door, a hand came round the door like this. And the door opened and there was this face looking at me. And I went totally ballistic. I was going to kill whoever it was. I was going to
say, was it a cupboard? Was it a cupboard that was like full height?
Yeah.
Like a wardrobe?
Like a wardrobe. Yeah. Like a built-in wardrobe type thing it was. And yeah. I was going to unalive him. And I was like ready to go. I was like, everything just going. And I was going so much, I woke myself up. Thank goodness. laying there in the sweat. Flipping heck. Glad that wasn't real. And then blow me, if it wasn't just a few days later, I had this other dream, and somebody else was coming. I was with people. I don't know who I was with, but I'm trying to warn them that there's somebody outside coming towards the door and he's after us. And I am screaming at the people to either help me or get away before this person gets to the door. And you know how when you try and shout in your dreams and you can't? And I was
It's like when you try to run. When you try to run and it's like you're running through high water, it's really
That's
slow. Yeah.
So it was the same sort of thing. And I was shouting and I was so frustrated that I couldn't shout, that I was making myself shout. And in the end, what woke me up was Dad with his hand on my shoulder going...
Because you were actually shouting.
Because I was actually shouting, yeah. I was actually shouting.
Oh my goodness.
And I don't do that. I very rare. I don't know myself to speak. My sister used to. My sister was always talking in her sleep. But I never did. Never done that before. But we have been watching programs just before we go to bed at night. And they're like...
I was just about to say to you, what on earth have you been doing before you go to bed? Because none of this sounds like you at all. This isn't like normal at all for any.
No,
and I'm like,
no.
Normally it involves some kind of trauma that's going on in your life, but I don't know of any real like significant trauma going on in your life right now.
We watched something the other night on YouTube, and this is what we're watching. And it's like when people are like wild camping and stuff. And there was two particular ones that really freaked us out. One of them was a bloke driving down. They were just camping overnight. They were going to talk about where they were. I don't know if it was paranormal or not, but they were just going to drive down into the woods. They were miles away from anywhere. And they drove, I can't even remember who it was. So I don't even know if I'd be able to put the picture up or put the link up. I can't remember who it was, but because it was like there was loads of them all packed together in one YouTube thing from different YouTube channels. Anyway, this person, two blokes in a car driving up this little tiny lane just with forest either side, and they are miles and miles away from anywhere, out in the middle of nowhere. And as they're driving up this road and they're talking about where they're going to stop and what they're going to do, all of a sudden ahead of them is a light in the woods. Oh my God, my dog's here now. She just made me jump. Oh dear. Dear. Right. Yeah. So they're driving down this road and all of a sudden there's this light ahead of them as if someone's got a head torch on, standing in the middle of the road. And they're just like, what the hell? What the hell is that? And with that, whoever it is walks into the forest. Just one light disappears. And they're just like, what the hell? What? Why? What? Anyway, they get up to whereabouts this person was, and they actually wound down the window and they were actually shouting out, are you okay? Do you need any help? Because it was just like one person. They were like, why is one person here on their own? I mean, there probably was more, but I don't know. You only saw one light.
One person with a light, it could have been more than one.
So the bloke gets out who's driving, leans and he stands up on the footwell and he shouts over the top of the van towards where the guy walked. And he again shouts out, are you okay? Do you need any help? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. He gets back in the car and they're both looking at each other.
Was there anyone in the car with him?
Yeah,
he was in the car with other people. Okay, so I just have like a thing I have to say right now. If you're driving the car, right, you are responsible for driving that car, right? Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. If I'm driving, under no circumstances am I doing anything except driving that car, right? If I stop to deal with the situation, the passenger is going to deal with that situation because I'm going to be ready to hit the gas the second that anything goes wrong, right? I'm going to drag that person into the car and we're gone. No messing. Right? I'm not getting out of the car so no one else can operate that vehicle. No. Time is of the essence, people. If there's going to be a mass murderer that's about to do you in, make sure you got your foot on the pedal. That's all I'm saying.
Anyway,
don't get out. That's just mental.
He did get back in the car and he sat there.
Good.
And they both sort of looked at each other. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, this hand went like that, straight on the window of the driver's door, just thumped the window of the driver's door, totally in the
See?
dark. And it was just like, you've
Head
just
all
been out there, no lights, no nothing. I tell you what, that guy, I've never seen anyone. He's shook.
I'm staying in the damn car, windows, doors locked, no.
But the trouble is, they knew that they were going into the forest. It was only a track they were on, and they knew that it was a dead end. But they knew that there was one place, which was where they were going to camp, where they were going to camp, I'll say.
Yeah,
that was it was the only place they could turn around. Anyway, they whizzed up to it, turned round, and then just shot back. And I tell you what, they just put their foot down and went. If somebody had stepped out in front of the car, I think they'd have been a goner.
They just mowed them down.
Yeah, absolutely. No way were they stopping. Absolutely no way. And the other one, which was scary, was just a couple, and they were wild camping so much. They were in a campsite. They were actually with other people. There were other people around them that were also camping in vans and stuff like that. They had a tiny little two-man tent, and they woke up in the middle of the night knowing that somebody was opening the zip to get inside the tent. And they're whispering to each other.
Yeah, see, there's a thing here, right? There's a thing that people forget. There's a thing that people forget when they're camping, right? And that is that tents, not soundproof, right? Not soundproof, and they're not solid walls, people. So I'm sorry, if somebody's opening the zip of my tent and I'm not camping with anyone else, right? There's nobody else likely to be with me. I've camped in a place, I'm coming through that door at 1,000 miles an hour because I'm going to spring on you like a honey badger. Like there's no messing because that's not a solid wall.
No, my thoughts were when I saw it, because you could hear them whispering to each other in the dark, no light on or anything. You could hear them whisper in the dark, and I was like, I would have had something, spray or something I would have had that I could have used in the circumstances, right? Not that they were obviously not expecting anything, but what they did was, as whoever it was coming through and unzipping and then starting to climb into the tent like this. I wish I had a mask now to show you what was. She shone a torch, and they were obviously filming at the same time, or they started filming as they heard someone coming in the tent. And as she shone the torch round, there is this bloke on hands and knees climbing into their tent, and Dad thought he had a mask on, but he didn't. He was tattooed all over his face, and he was just like,
oh wow,
coming into the tent like this, coming straight at
them. See, one thing that people don't quite, the thing that comes into my head in that kind of situation is that now, if you're on your hands and knees, whatever you're coming into, you're about to meet it with your forehead, right? Let's face it.
Exactly.
So my brain goes on the offensive straight away.
Yeah. My foot would have been straight in there. Yeah.
And like I say, tents are not solid walls, so you can. I was just going to say, tents are not solid walls, so I would kick out like a lunatic, and then I'd be out through the other side of the tent. I'd be underneath, nothing would keep me in at that point.
Obviously, they screamed and they lashed out. Luckily, the screaming, there were other people around them, so other people came, and it turned out that this bloke did have some sort of mental issue, but. God, blimey.
Even so.
Yeah, even so.
Mental issue or not, it's going to get you into trouble. Yeah.
Well, it was just two of the things in these flipping, and
you had bad dreams. I mean, I can't.
I had a bad dream. There you go. Hey ho.
I mean, fair. Fair.
Yeah.
I can get that.
Can I finish this? Can I finish my Kraken now? I need to finish the Kraken.
I have to admit, I thought you'd finished the Kraken, but go ahead.
The only thing I will say about... There's a tale of a French corvette, it's like a ship, called the Electon. And its encounter in 1861 is a fascinating one, often cited as a key moment in the shift from the mythical Kraken to the scientific understanding of giant squids. Here's, and there's a more detailed account, right? So it says, date and location on either the 30th of November the 30th or November the 17th. So there was obviously a bit of controversy there. 1861. Accounts vary slightly of the exact date. The Electon, a French Navy ship, a type of dispatch boat or small warship, was sailing near Tenerife in the Canary Islands. The ship was en route to Cayenne, French Guiana. The sighting happened. The ship lookout spotted a large, partially submerged object on the surface of the water. Initially, there was likely curiosity and perhaps some apprehension, as a large unknown object at sea could be anything from debris to a distressed whale. The captain of the Electon was Frédéric Boyer, and he examined the object and identified it as a giant squid. Cornet gigantesque. In French. Is that right? Does that sound right?
I have no idea. Depending how it's spelled.
Don't know. At the time, while sailors had long told tales of enormous sea monsters, the scientific community largely considered the existence of giant squids to be folklore. Captain Boyer obviously recognised the potential significance of such a sighting and resolved to capture the creature. So, they engaged with it. Captain Boyer ordered his crew to manoeuvre the Electon closer to the squid, and they attempted to subdue and capture it using various methods. Yet one of the first methods they used was musket fire. Yeah, that really helped. The crew fired muskets at the squid, but the bullets seemed to have little effect on its rubbery flesh.
Funny that.
And they used harpoons, They launched harpoons hoping to secure the creature. Some harpoons may have briefly lodged in its body, but didn't hold firm. Then they used a noose. The crew managed to get a rope lassoed around the squid's body. And then there was a struggle. As they attempted to haul the massive creature aboard, its immense weight proved to be too much for the rope and its own body. The squid's flesh tore, and only a portion of it, reported to be the tip of one of its arms, or the tail end, remained attached to the ship. This piece was brought aboard and reportedly weighed 14 kilos, around 30 pounds. The majority of the giant squid's body sank back into the depths. Captain Boyer's description estimated the squid to be around 5.5 metres or 18 feet in length from its head to its tail. I don't know if it would be his tail or just the squid-like tentacles.
I was going to say head from the tip of the head to the end of the tentacles, yeah.
Yeah, not including the length of its arms, it says here. He noted the rubbery texture of its skin. There you go. So, I don't know.
Bizarre. Okay.
Other accounts and later illustrations based on the event depict a creature with large eyes and formidable tentacles. For the significance, the shift from myth to reality, the Electon incident is considered to be one of the most well-documented encounters between a surface vessel and a giant squid. It provided tangible evidence that these monsters of sailors' tales were in fact real creatures. The recovered fragment, although a small portion of the whole, was significant as it allowed scientists to begin studying the anatomy of giant squids, moving them from the realm of myth into zoology. The Electon's encounter is widely believed... Sorry, go on.
Sorry, I was just, jumping in there. I do think that this is where, back then, it wasn't so much a thing to be able to take a photo or... document what you're seeing in any real capacity other than just to write it down. So, I don't know. I feel like there is a part of me that thinks that humanity does this thing where we go, yeah, there's something we don't know about, quick, kill it, which is aggravating.
I don't think he was actually trying to kill it. But
no.
I think the ways that they did
it... but this is the thing. It was like, what did you expect to happen? Funnily enough, I think you're going to hurt it and therefore... it's going to not want to be with you anymore. But in that instance, it kind of makes me think, have we, where we see these things now, it's like immediate that people pick up a phone and start filming. And it's like, well, is that, I'm not sure if that's better or worse, if I'm honest. I know some terrible times when people have grabbed a phone and filmed. In that situation, probably better. But, not so in every case.
That would definitely have been a time, if you'd have got something that you could film, then that would have been the time to do it. But obviously they didn't.
Yeah.
But they said the Electon's encounter is widely believed to have inspired Jules Verne's depiction, I can't read anymore now, I can't talk, of the giant squid attack on the Nautilus in his classic science fiction novel 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, published in 1870. It says here, despite the cruise account and the recovered fragment, the scientific community at the time remained somewhat sceptical. Extraordinary claims required extraordinary evidence, and a small piece of a creature was not enough to fully convince everyone. However, as more sightings and eventually whole specimens of giant squid were discovered in the following years, the Electon incident gained recognition as an important early confirmation of their existence. In essence, the story of the Electon is a pivotal moment where a legendary sea monster began its transformation from myth into a recognized, albeit still mysterious, inhabitant of the deep ocean. It's a testament to how real-world encounters can fuel and in turn be influenced by the stories that we tell. There we go.
Yeah. And it's kind of cool though that it did get the recognition in the end, you know, and mostly down to other people encountering similar things, you know. But I don't know how many, because we go looking for them now. If you were just on the surface, if you were just like a fisherman, how many of these do you think like have been seen and documented? Do you know what I mean? It's like we go looking for them now, so we have this information and video footage and photographs and, you know, evidence.
They can do like sonic studies under the water and all sorts now, can't they?
Yeah, but you know, it's that thing of like kind of understanding that there were likely to be 10, 15 years in between sightings of these creatures. How easy is it to dismiss it and just go, well, it's nothing, you know, it's just. Yeah,
but it's a bit like it's a bit like the Loch Ness Monster, isn't it? I mean, we could have had Nessie. I could have chosen her. I've actually chosen a different Scottish sea monster in actual fact, but we could have had Nessie. And the amount of information, photographs, possibly fake photos, possibly real photos, I don't know. And the amount of investigation that's been done in Loch Ness is incredible, really. I mean, you could do a whole show about just Loch Ness, I think, you know, and Nessie.
Well, all I can say is that at least we found the Skegness monster.
We did. We had a hunt when these were little. We went to Skegness and we decided the whole day we would hunt for the Skegness monster. And we ended up coming home with we found a little creature that we decided eventually was the Skegness monster.
It was a bath toy. It was a toy you put in the bath. It was like a little turtle, and he had a little head popping out and 4 legs, and then it had the little flappy fins that spin round on the back. When you wind him up, you know, and his little fins spin round on the back, and he kind of paddles himself along. It was very, very cool. And that was our Skegness monster because we couldn't find anything better.
If anyone else knows better than that and has a better Skegness monster, you can find it and tell us and let us know. Right,
we need pictures on our social media, please.
We do, yes, the Skegness monster. Right, we have the last bit tonight before we have a little story. It's called the Nuckelavee. The Nuckelavee is a terrifying creature from Orcadian folklore originating from the Orkney Islands in Scotland. It is often described as one of the most malevolent and horrifying entities in Scottish mythology. Here is an in-depth look at this chilling figure. So the appearance of the Nuckelavee is a grotesque hybrid of a man and a horse with a nightmarish appearance. It has a horse-like body, but where the rider would sit, there is a human torso fused to the horse's back. The human part is grotesque, with elongated arms that can reach the ground and a head that is oversized and grotesque. They say the arms can be up to 9 feet long, so it's about 3 meters. So the human can actually reach the ground from the back of the horse with his arms. The creature is said to lack skin, so it is like exposing raw, pulsating muscle and black blood coursing through yellow veins. Its single fiery burns with a malevolent red glow, and its mouth is a gaping maw that emits toxic fumes. The Nukkalavi is a bringer of destruction and chaos. It is blamed for droughts, crop failures, and livestock diseases, as its breath is said to wilt crops and sicken animals. This was like the one that you spoke about earlier on. Was that in this one, or was it in last week's that you spoke about?
I think
the
it was
creature
last week's.
It was last week's, wasn't it? And I said to you, keep listening, because there's something very similar.
Yeah.
The Nukkalavi is a bringer of destruction and chaos. So the creature is primarily a sea dweller, but ventures onto land to wreak havoc. It has an aversion to fresh water, which is one of the few ways to escape its wrath. By crossing a stream or river, you can actually deter it from chasing you. The origins and mythological context of this, the Nukkalavi is deeply rooted in Orcadian folklore, which has strong Scandinavian influences. It may be a blend of Celtic water horse myths and Norse sea monsters. It is said to be kept in check during the summer months by the Mither of the Sea. And I don't know what that is. I didn't have time to find out. So that's something else that we need to look into. Which is an ancient sea spirit who can control it, apparently. The Nukkalavi embodies the destructive forces of nature and the fears of ancient islanders who live at the mercy of the sea and the weather. And it serves as a cautionary tale about respecting the natural world and its cycles. The Nukkalavi has appeared in various forms of media, including literature, video games, and television, often portrayed as a symbol of unrelenting evil and chaos. And I have a story all about the Nukkalavi. You're trying to look up this thingy in the ocean, aren't you?
Yeah, what did you say it was called? You said the Mither of the Sea. Did you mean Mother of the Sea?
No, Mither. M-I-T-H-E-R. The Mither of the Sea. And it's O, just an O with an apostrophe.
Got a thing that says
Mither of the Sea.
Sedna or Sana. Sidna is another one. Sydney is the goddess of the sea, marine animals. In Inuit religion, also known as the Mother of the Sea or Mistress of the Sea.
All right.
So it's a goddess.
Yeah. So she controls it in the summertime, but then when the weather starts to change, that's when it gets out. So, do you want the story of the Nukkalavi's curse?
Swing that light.
The wind howled over the barren hills of the Orkney Islands, carrying with it the brine of the reckless sea. Isla McRae tightened her scarf against the chill as she made her way towards the old fisherman's hut on the edge of the shore. She had heard the warnings, stay away from the water at twilight, never linger near the edge of the whispering sound. But Isla was a woman of reason, not superstition. She was there for answers. The villagers had always whispered of the Nukkalavi, a grotesque sea demon that haunted the waves, bringing plague and ruin to anyone who crossed its path. Lately, their whispers had grown louder, fear rippling through the community like the tides. Livestock were falling ill, crops withered under an unseasonable frost, and the fish, the lifeblood of the village, had vanished from the nets. The elders blamed the Nukkalavi, claiming it had risen from the depths in anger, but Isla refused to believe in monsters. There had to be a rational explanation. The door to the fisherman's hut creaked open, revealing the wizen figure of Ewan Kerr, an old man with a face weathered as the rocks on the shore. He met Isla's gaze, his eyes clouded with both age and something darker, fear.
"You've come to ask me about it, haven't you?"
he rasped, his voice like the scraping of driftwood. "Yes," Isla replied. "I want to know the truth about the Nukkalavi." Ewan's hands trembled as he motioned her inside. By the dim light of a spluttering lantern, he told her the tale. The Nukkalavi, he explained, was no ordinary creature. It was a thing born of hatred and the fury of the sea itself. A grotesque fusion of horse and man, with no skin to mask its pulsing veins and raw muscles. Its smoky breath could blight crops. Its fiery eye burns through the thickest fog, and its strength was beyond human comprehension. But why would it rise now? Isla asked, sceptical but unnerved.
Because we've angered it,
Ewan said, lowering his voice to a whisper.
The villagers have taken too much from the sea, more than what's fair. The Nukkalavi is a guardian of balance, and when that balance is broken, it punishes us.
Isla frowned, her rational mind wrestling with the old man's words. Before she could ask more, a sound cut through the night, a deep, guttural roar that seemed to echo from the depths of the sea. Ewan's face turned ashen.
You've stayed too long, he hissed. It's coming. You must leave.
But it was too late. As Isla stepped outside, the wind whipped violently, and the sea seemed to rise unnaturally high, its waves clawing at the shore. And there it was, the Nukkalavi. Its horse-like body glistened in the moonlight, raw and sinewy, its massive hooves pounding the earth as it emerged from the water. The humanoid torso atop its back twisted unnaturally, its fiery eye locked onto Isla with a malevolence that froze her in place. The creature let out a guttural bellow, its breath a toxic vapour that withered the grass around it. Isla stumbled backwards, her heart pounding. Ewan's words echoed in her mind. The Nukkalavi cannot cross fresh water. Desperate, she turned and ran, heading for the small stream that divided the village from the hills. The beast pursued her, its hooves thundering against the ground, the stench of decay filling the air. Isla's lungs burned as she ran, and the stream was so tantalisingly close. With a final burst of strength, she leapt across the water just as the Nukkalavi lunged. Its claw-like hands reached for her, but stopped short. Its monstrous form recoiling from the flowing water, the creature let out an enraged scream before retreating into the sea, its red, fiery eye glaring at her until the waves swallowed it whole. The village was spared for now, but Isla stood by the stream, trembling and gasping for breath. She realised the truth. The Nukkalavi was no mere legend, and if the villagers didn't respect the balance between land and sea, it would rise again.
That's freaky. That's a good story for the freaking shack. We like that one.
Really good story. Yeah, I thought you'd like that one.
I do like that one. I mean,
just to give you more
the description you gave.
Nightmares now.
Yeah, the description you gave in the beginning of I think it was just like the arms that could reach to the floor when you're on horseback. I mean, I've heard knuckle draggers, but that's taken it to a new level, you know?
Yeah, it is a bit. Oh dear.
Brilliant.
So there you go. I think that's it. We've gone way over time. But who
We've
cares?
gone way over time. You know what? If you're still with us, thank you for listening, listeners. We love you guys, and hopefully you are still listening and enjoying what we're doing. I hope. Leave us a review so we know.
Yeah, leave us a review. Share other people that you know. We are desperately trying to get more listeners, and we don't make any money out of this. This is all free. We do it for the love of it. We do it for the love of getting together and chatting.
We are literally volunteering. Yeah. Yeah, we love it. It's a great opportunity to share some stories, but at the same time, we're doing it for other people as well to be able to share some stories. So we want your stories too.
Yeah. Let us know your stories, please. Anything. If you've had weird encounters or something strange has happened to you or something unexplained or something spooky, please let us know, because we would love to be able to share your stories as well.
We should mention to our listeners the up and coming series that we are thinking about, which is the potential cursed or obscure objects, should we say?
Yeah, cursed objects.
Yeah, objects that have some kind of energy behind them. Yes. I'm not the best person to talk about this because I have no idea about energies with objects. For me, it just sits there. It's not a thing. But I know that there are people who are perceptive to these types of energies who do say that certain objects have certain energies in their house. And sometimes it's something that I imagine might have been left to somebody that people have a strange energy around, or if you bought a new house and it has items in it, that are weird. I don't know. Yes. Horcruxes. Yeah, they would count as
cursed objects. A Horcrux, if you haven't watched Harry Potter, is an item where you have placed part of your soul inside. And just saying that, don't forget to go and listen to The Hollow Hair.
Is that the episode that we've got going?
Yes. One of the short tales from the shack, for over Easter. So if you haven't listened to that, go back and listen to it, especially if you're interested in or want to understand a little bit more about cursed objects, things with souls put inside.
I think we need to deep dive into cursed objects because we need a bit more going on here.
Yeah. So
all right, we should let people go because we've been ages.
I know, we have been ages. So we're going now. Thank you all for listening. We love you all. And we appreciate every single one of you when you do a download or a listen. We watch all the little statistics and things. And I think we've had over 500 downloads now. I think it's about 540 altogether. We don't advertise this at all because we've got no money for advertising, basically.
We don't shout about any of this. It's just literally social media posts and word of mouth.
Yeah. We're on TikTok, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on Blue Sky. Nobody talks to me on Blue Sky, nobody at all. So if you're on Blue Sky, please come and find the freaking shack without a G and come and talk to me, because I just talk into the ether.
Freaking.
I even had one post on Blue Sky where I just said hello.
Blue Sky, I should get on it.
I'm the only one that ever likes anything that's on our stuff. Nobody speaks to me at all. No one likes any of our posts.
Amazing.
I don't know what I'm wrong, but
maybe Blue Sky is just not your people. Maybe we haven't found our people.
Maybe
there.
not. No.
I think we've found some of our people on Facebook. We've found some of our people on TikTok. Maybe we haven't found our people yet on Blue Sky. But that's not to say they're not there. We can find them.
Yeah, we just need to find them. Yeah. So we need you lot to help us by sharing. Anyway, we're going. It's
all I can say is that the freaking shack. The freaking shack is distinctly hidden in the forest. So it takes some looking for. But once you find it, it's great. Even if I do say so myself.
I'm just saying now, the freaking shack's closed. We're shut. We're finished. Just for this week.
So keep your minds open and your lamps lit. And we will see you all again next week at the freaking shack.
Bye. Thank you for listening.
Contact us at fshack03@gmail.com or find us on social media by searching #TheFreakingShack. That's freaking without a G.
We're looking forward to hearing from you really soon.